Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Street Smart Millionaire. Today, we have the guy that's most in charge of my wealth, my financial planner, Jeff Fratancangeli. Jeff, how long you been a financial planner?
30 years.
30 years you've been a financial planner, and we've been together for how long?
I've been with you since 2002. So like
We've been together about 22 years, and I've been your coach for how long? About 15?
Been my coach for about 15.
Now, when you look at wealth, you manage a lot of wealthy people. How many really wealthy people do you have over, say, 50 million?
Clients that have liquid 50 million or net worth?
Like liquid 50 million.
Liquid 50 million, we have about 40 to 50, Rick.
40 to 50 clients at over 50 million. What are some of the tendencies they all have in common?
Most of the folks that have that type of wealth, north of $50 million, either inherited it, sold their company, or had a large lump sum that came to them. That's the typical path that I've seen folks that have generated that type of liquidity get that type of wealth.
Okay. Now, gosh, I'm not going to sell anything. I'm not going to inherit anything. I'm not going to invent anything. So how did I come wealthy, and how do you come wealthy? Because you're not going to money.
The way that you built your wealth, without getting into specifics, was you saved every single month a certain amount of money of your discretionary income for the last, since 2002, every month you have put away money.
I was taught by a wealthy man that if you save 20% of your paycheck for 30 years, you'll be super loaded. Does that model work out?
No question. It worked for me personally, and I know it worked for you.
How many families do you have under management?
Personally, we work with approximately 350 families.
Okay, out of the 350 families, how many save every month?
Only the people you coached, Brett.
Only the 20. What do you think? Out of 350, 50 people save every month? 100?
Probably about 30 to 40.
So 30 to 40 save every month. Now, every financial planner teaches that you got a dollar cost average in investing, correct?
Correct.
That means every month you got to put money in the market, buy more stocks. But now today's a great day. We're up 2%. It's crazy today, correct?
Great day today.
Some of our winners, NVIDIA's up today. Oklo's up today. Some of our bad ones, United Healthcare is down today. Why is healthcare being beat up so bad?
Healthcare in general is doing okay. And Intuitive is up today nicely. Some of the companies that are directly connected to AI or data centers and using the new technology. United Healthcare is, the old saying, Rick, if it's a falling knife, don't catch it. Let it hit the ground and then pick it up. And United Healthcare is one of those examples right now. It's just been a free fall due to negative publicity.
So I want to talk a little bit about leadership. You have how many employees?
I have 30 employees.
So you have 30 employees. What does leadership mean to you?
Leading by example.
Okay.
No one's going to outwork you. You're going to be more in tune to the situation. You're going to lead by example. And then you also have to, I think there's two objectives that you have to, or two approaches that you have to have that you've taught me, frankly. And that is, one, you have to be a good coach in the sense that you're hard on them and you get more out of them. You push them beyond their comfort level. You push them beyond what they would do on their own. And then on the other side, you have to care about them. So the old saying, the stick and the heart, right? So you have to carry a stick in the sense that you're going to whip them into shape, but you also have to care about them as individuals. And if you care about them, you can be hard on them and get more out of them. It worked for me with coaches in the past and people that I emulate like you. And I feel it's been the most successful approach to working with my team as well.
So I look at leadership and I look at three systems. I look at serving people, which you talked about, caring for them, which is serving them. I talk about leading by example, which you talked about, and then authoritative. If I feel that if I serve people and I lead by example, do I have the right to be their authority?
100%.
So that's kind of how I look at it. A lot of people look at it as authoritative first and then serve and then an example. I think you serve first. You listen to them, you care for them, you worry about what their vision is, you hold them accountable, you lead by example, and then things get done. I had a drama situation last week with two people, and I've followed up with each person at least 4 times. Why do I follow up so much?
Well, because it shows you care.
Well, first I had to resolve the issue, then I had to follow up, then everybody is feeling good about it. Does that make sense? So I think that people don't follow up well. Why?
I'm not sure, Rick.
Well, I think that for me, every time there's a situation that comes up, there's two situations. There's a situation that's there that doesn't come up. and there's a situation that comes up and you deal with it. How do you deal with situations when they come up?
I hit them head on. I go right at them. If a situation arises that needs my attention, my attitude is you want to get to that issue immediately, assess the situation, identify what the issue is attached to, and then figure out what the best approach is for the intent that you have. What is your intent? What is the outcome you desire? What is the outcome that's best for whoever's involved? And then make that focus in every decision and how you approach solving it. And then make sure that you put it to bed, as you put it. Follow up until it's addressed to the point where it's solved.
Once you solve the problem, what is your system of following up? Like, you call 3 times to check up, 1 time to check up. Do you not check up? What is your follow-up on that?
I probably need to check up more like you did. But I would say a minimum of 1 follow-up, possibly 2, depending upon the results of the first.
For me, I like to address everything head on, but then I like to follow up at least 4 or 5 times until all parties say what? I'm happy. I feel good. Thank you for resolving it. Until I get that thank you or, hey, it's handled, I keep going. Do you follow that same process?
Yeah, no, I do. Probably not to the extent of 4 times, but that's a learning opportunity for me as well.
Now, let's talk about the untalked about frustration. How do you find the people that are unhappy, that need to be taken care of, but they're not screaming or they're not raising their hand? How do you identify the people that need help?
Well, I think you have to have processes and procedures in place that you follow up and check on people. Making an outgoing call to someone that you don't deal with directly consistently, just to check on them to see if they're okay. And how do you do that without, missing certain people? Well, you have to be organized. You have to have a list of people you're going to contact that you haven't spoken to in a period of time, and you're going to follow up with them and just simply ask them, how are you doing? How do you feel about your account? Are you meeting your objectives? How is your communication with my team? You ask them poignant questions so that you get them to talk to you. And I think it shows 3 things. It shows 1, that you are communicating. 2, it shows that you care. And 3, you then be quiet and listen.
Now, you can't follow up personally with 350 clients. So how many clients do you personally worry about?
So I personally deal with 50 relationships that I'm the point of contact. And then I have another, give or take, 100 that I'm involved in, but I'm not necessarily call it point of contact, but I'm involved in every communication relative to reviews. And then there's a group of clients, frankly, that I'm directing traffic on, Rick, but my team's the communicator. And I may touch on them. Those are the people that I'm going to call that we talked about. That's the list. That is going to...
You're going to take the whole 350 and call them at least twice a year?
Absolutely.
And then the 100 that are heavier clients, you'll talk to them, 4 or 6 times a year?
Correct. And the other thing I'm doing for my coach, Rick, is every other Tuesday, I'm doing a 2-minute market update. It starts this Friday. So I'm going to have a conversation about what happened. We had a downgrade by Moody's. We've had, some issues with tariffs in the European Union. I'm just going to talk about what happened in the previous couple of days, what's happening. I'm going to give them 1 or 2 tips to live by, and I'm going to do it every other week. And I'm going to do it for up to 5 minutes, but no less than 2 minutes. So they're not only going to hear from me individually in all forms, whether they're the 1s, the 2s, the 3s that I just described, but they're also going to see me on the screen on a consistent basis. They're going to know every other Friday. So it's going to be a culmination.
I think all client retention boils down to contact and indirect contact. Contact would be you calling them, you seeing them on Zoom. Indirect would be they would be at fireside chats, or they would watch a video from you or watch a message. Like, I have about 20,000 people watching our podcast that are either... Now, we only carry about 1,100 clients across the board in our coaching business, but to have 20,000 people listening to us, it gives you a format where indirectly you could get more clients because they saw you indirectly. So I think that, how wide is your net? Like, how many people are you exposed to monthly? How many people do you have following you? How many people do you have in like a download outward message?
Yep. So we have LinkedIn, which of course we all know of. It's one of the largest business to business communication that you can have into the public. So we post, I've done market updates, fireside chats. I know that you're aware of. You and I walked it together after the fact with Kevin O'Leary, Ron and Son, and other analysts that we put on that LinkedIn and we put on our website, and we invite people to the live version. And then we email it out to our database, which is all of our clients. And then potentially some of the folks that are attached to our clients, like their CPAs or their estate planners, that we work with in tandem with the client, because our job is to be the financial quarterback on the wealth management side. We also work with other professionals like their estate planning attorney and their professional tax preparer. So we communicate with that group. And then we also have prospects, people that we are talking to that may not have chosen to go with us yet, that we're interested in potentially working for, or people that have been referred to us that are just getting to know us.
Now, through the years, I've watched you to be heavy on acquisition. Now you're heavier on retention. What made that shift?
We turn more business away than we take these days. We got 20 referrals in the last, call it 3 weeks. We might take 3, Rick. We might take 3. And one of them I have a call with tomorrow morning.
Now, early on, I saw that you took every client, correct?
We would go across the street for 10,000 back to when I started in the business.
And now, as you get bigger, you have to be more select on the type of client. So what is the perfect client for you?
Perfect client for us is someone that is like, in many ways, you, Rick, and that you're saving every month. So who are those clients? Those clients are executives. They're CEOs of public or private companies. They're individuals that have stock that's being paid to them on an annual basis with the company they work for, like Microsoft or other businesses that we represent. So they're getting paid in stock, they're getting paid in bonus, they're getting paid in their deferred comp plan, and they're saving in their 401k. So these are clients that might have a couple million today, but within 5 years, they're going to have north of 10 million. So just like a company.
You're looking for clients that already have a foundation of a couple million to work with. They're dollar cost averaging, saving every month. They're willing to buy when stuff's on sale. Like earlier in April, everything was on sale. We bought a lot more stocks. And then May was a good month and we've rallied. Where do you think the year is going for the economy?
Let me just finish that last question. The other type of client we work with, which I have 4 of right now, clients that are in the process of selling their business and coming into the 8 or 9 figures. And we help them. What do you need to be cognizant of? If you have your estate plan tight, because now you're going to inherit money at a liquid value that's going to put you above the estate tax, and making sure that they have their tax situation relative to that liquidity event as capital gains, not as regular income. We guide them through the basics that we deal with it all the time. They only deal with it once or twice in their lifetime. So those are the 2 types of clients. As it relates to your second question, is what we see this year upon us bringing as it relates to markets. Well, first of all, I will tell you, short term, the market is always tough to predict. You're always going to get some type of a curveball or something that was not expected. So that I preface my next comments with, no one knows exactly what tomorrow's paper looks like. But what I will tell you is we have an environment where we have deregulation. What does that mean? That means the regulatory government hand on your shoulder, sort of minimizing what you can or can't do, is being reversed over the last 8 out of the last.
Easier to do business. Is that basically what that means?
Easier to do business. And then also the thing that people talk about a lot is the amount of oil there is in the engine, or what we refer to as the liquidity. The engine is the economy, and the oil keeps the economy, keeps that engine going. And if there isn't enough liquidity in the system, we have to be concerned, because we could have another '08. And right now,
there are a lot of liquidity right now.
We have enough liquidity in the system, but even more importantly, the deregulatory environment is allowing that oil to get into the system. Unlike '08, where they minimized the amount of money that you have to, or they made you have more cash on hand so you couldn't lend. Now we have more fluidity in the system to allow the engine to work. So I think that's critical, and it'll show itself in the second half of this year. I think the market ends strong this year due to tax reform, due to clarity on the tariffs, and due to the deregulatory environment. And I also think, Rick, we are on the precipice of an explosion of new technological ways of how we operate in the business and our day-to-day. This AI is going to be explosive. I know that you've invested substantially in early stage companies like NVIDIA. You've recently invested to companies that are going to be the forefront of these bots, robots, as we will refer to them as. For $18,000, you can get a robot that can work for you. What they can do and what they can't do is only going to improve over time. I believe we're on the precipice of massive increase of productivity and a lower cost of doing business in the next 5 years. And we need to prepare ourselves for that relative to how we invest in the approach that you have taught many of us.
So what I like about investing is like, I think S&P is the gold standard. Describe that.
The S&P 500 is the index that is comprised of approximately 500 companies that are the large to medium-sized companies in every sector of the economy, that gives you a little piece of every sector with the biggest companies.
So if you invest in the S&P, you have a little piece of 500 companies. So some go up, some go down. Today, most of the sectors are up in the economy. Why do people not invest in the S&P?
I'm not really sure, Rick. That doesn't make much sense. I think it should be a part of everybody's portfolio.
I think it should be part of everybody's portfolio. Now, we buy stocks. We buy the S&P. We buy the QQQ. We have a handful of stocks. Why do we buy individual stocks?
We look for more concentration in businesses we believe in that are going to allow us to give us more upside, but also more volatility. You're a prime example.
We feel that some individual stocks will outperform the S&P, correct?
It's exactly right.
So what has the S&P averaged in the last 25 years?
11.5%.
So if you're in the S&P and you average 11.5% a year, if you divide it by 72, that means the money will double every 6.3 years, correct?
That's exactly right.
So if you just invest every month in the S&P, you should get a double every 6 years, correct?
Correct.
Now, there's some really high years, like last year was almost like 24% in the S&P. I know me and you made about 30%. 22, the S&P was down 12%. We were down like 8%. So you want to have some stocks and the S&P to overall beat the S&P. Is that your investment philosophy?
That's exactly right. Now, invest in the S&P with a dollar cost average strategy. Pick 5 to 10 companies that you believe are going to be well diverse and in areas that you think are going to be disruptors. What are they going to do? They're going to disrupt business in general, whether it's a company or a sector like energy. We believe energy is going to be disruptive in the coming years, but the amount of energy that's going to be needed to serve the AI that's coming out in infrastructure like data centers. So we like to get into those companies. Rick, you own 3 of the companies that we think are there to disrupt relative to energy and technology, and the proof's in the pudding.
So I think technology, AI, cybersecurity, I think those are the big plays in the next 5 years. You agree with that?
I think they're definitely the place for today and in the near future.
Now, AI is artificial intelligence, and basically you're looking at the chips, you're looking at the users, and you're using at the software for AI. What are some good AI manufacturers that you like?
AI manufacturer, NVIDIA is the leader. Right now, they're the chip that has been the kind of head of the curve, if you will, of all competitors. Chips can be in they can be in gaming, they can be in automobiles. With AI, the chip that's leading right now is NVIDIA. And we're keeping a close eye on if they continue to maintain that leadership. I think
and they keep that lead from their competitors. That's the big question, correct?
That's it. Right now, the gap
You got
there.
AI, you have NVIDIA's number one, you have AMD, you have Intel. Those are probably the 3 biggest chip makers, correct?
I'm not real big on AMD and Intel today, personally.
NVIDIA just heads and tails above everybody else.
Well, think about this, though, Rick. If we could get the companies that sell to the chip companies, we don't care if AMD or NVIDIA wins. We want the companies that are going to be the supply chain, the Lam Research, et cetera. Those companies are the picks and shovels like the gold rush. So we're going to hit it both ways. We're going to get the companies that sell to all the chip companies in case NVIDIA isn't the leader. And then we're going to get the one we think is going to be the horse that takes us across the finish line. The other way is who's the benefactors? Tesla. Tesla is a leader in that just think logically. No country, not one country, not any other company went to get these astronauts in space. Tesla went and got them. They're so far advanced in technology from any other company. And now they're bringing out these Tesla bots. They just opened up, I want to say, in California, possibly other places where they're bringing a autonomous taxi. They're so far ahead of the competition in so many ways. And I do believe there's going to be more bots on this earth than humans within 5 years. And who's the leader? By about 2 laps in a 4-lap race.
Now, in the last month, we sold a bunch of stocks that weren't performing well. We bought a lot of Tesla. Why did you suggest that we buy a lot of Tesla?
Because I think it's at the precipice of where it's going. It's out of favor due to political reasons that'll eventually subside. It's trading at pretty high multiples, which is hard to fathom. But at the same time, you're getting them on a low. Stock was as high as 498 just in December. December 16th, the stock was trading at 498, Rick. You got in without getting into your personal detail, substantially lower than that. And you've already gained a matter of 2 weeks, you've gained about 10% personally.
So I think that when you have a stock that's not doing well, what are the 2 options?
Either buy more or sell would be the.
Why would you sell a stock? Why would you sell a stock?
We think that they have downside momentum, and we think there's other issues there that we don't want to be holding on to find out about. We'll simply part ways, and we'll never talk about it again. We'll move on.
So I always believe in keeping like 5 to 10% liquid. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that is a minimum. You always have to have dry powder. You always have to have the ability to take advantage of something you couldn't foresee. And there's always going to be something that we couldn't foresee, right? So I want to have dry powder to go in and pounce and take advantage of opportunities whether it's from income like you've done, or both income and keeping some liquid because you don't have that discretionary income. But I want both. I want liquidity and I want a portion of your discretionary income. As my teacher has taught me, 20% every month.
So for me, I think that people that have big cash flow, monthly incomes, can take a little more risk than somebody that doesn't have any regular cash flow. Do you agree with that?
The general rule is if you have a need for liquidity, that monies you're going to potentially need in the next 2 to 3 years, you have zero business being in the stock market or owning any type of specific holding like real estate.
Do you think all money that goes in the stock market should be committed to that play for how long?
A minimum of 3 years.
Do you think like the Tesla play is a 3-year commitment? We'll buy more every month. If it dips down, we'll buy some on the dip, correct?
Correct.
And we'll keep getting a bigger position in these stocks to alter the average price that we're paying for it. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin?
It's a tough topic. I don't think, listen, the one thing I've come to the realization is I don't know everything. There's going to be something I'm going to learn today, hopefully. And the reality is what I'm about to tell you, just know that I don't know everything. I've been wrong in the past. But the way I view Bitcoin, AI, internet, right? The internet changed how we communicate, changed the fact that we can have this conversation on a screen, changed the fact that information flows instantaneous versus prior to the internet, you were behind the 8 ball if you weren't at that site or that pulse of the financial sector, which would have been New York. So I think the internet evolved in the sense that it changed how we communicate. I look at the internet and I look at AI equally. That is the future. AI is the future. Internet's not going anywhere. I looked at .com. Anything with .com was going up in price, like for no reason. They weren't even making money. I look at Bitcoin and I look at the .com bubble that occurred very similarly. I don't see the intrinsic value to Bitcoin. It doesn't do anything relative to the fact that it doesn't appreciate. It doesn't pay a dividend. It doesn't. Even gold is inside the iPhone that we build with our telephones that I have here. Whereas Bitcoin, I think that Bitcoin's here to stay. I think it's going to be pegged against the US dollar. The technology that it brings to execute a transaction, instantaneous versus if you want to move money from this side of the world to the other, it takes up to 4 weeks. Bitcoin and the transaction aspect of it, it's here to stay. But to say that you're going to become a billionaire because you own one Bitcoin, I'm sorry, Rick, I can't get my arms around it. Now, I own 1 to 2% of it because I know I don't know everything. And I suggest everyone does the same as a hedge.
So I own some Bitcoin, some Ethereum, and I own iBit. What is iBit?
It's a good question, Rick. I'd have to get back to you on that. I know that you owned it outside at one point. I don't personally.
It's like a fund that buys Bitcoin and moves Bitcoin. It's like a fund. And
so it's like MSTR.
Yes, it's very similar to that. Very similar to that. So I think Bitcoin should be a small portion of your portfolio. I think cash should be a small portion of your portfolio. I think S&P should be up to 40 or 50% of a portfolio. What do you think the S&P should be?
I like the 20 to, we range from 40 to 20%. Right now, it's a buyer's market and it's an individual stock ownership market. Whereas 2 years ago, it was the index that was going to win, right? I think you could make more money today by owning individual stocks than you can the index, but that's not always the case. So right now, I would say 20. And in other environments, I'd say as high as 40 or more.
So when you look at like managing money and you've been doing it for 30 years and you're pretty highly ranked, where you're ranked in the nation?
My team's ranked 22 and we've been ranked as high as 8 individually.
So between 8 individually and 22 as a team, and you manage a lot of money. You manage almost right over $4 billion, right? So you made $4 billion, and you built this business over 30 years. Like, how did you get all your clients?
All of our business. First of all, networking is critical. Networking. I met you, Rick, because I was working with one of your loan reps who said you need to meet Rick. So I did a presentation for your company. I offered you a lunch and learn. There was 43 people in the room. Guy in the back of the room was someone that's changed my life, and that's you. I had the opportunity to work with you. You referred me to clients. Every client I deal with, I earn the right to close. I earn the right to ask for the referral. And they typically give us referrals. And that's how we choose who we work with next, is we build off of our clients that we serve to refer us people that are of like wealth. and they need guidance similar to what we provided them.
In the beginning, how much cold calling did you do? 20 a week?
Back in 1995, I had to make 35 contacts. I had to speak to the decision maker at a business or a household about what we could do for them. And I had to set 9 appointments. That was my
35 conversations, 35 conversations a week between networking, cold calling, random, lead referrals. So 35 contacts a week, and you tried to get 9 appointments a week, correct?
I didn't leave the office until I accomplished those goals.
Cool. And that's how you built it. And then you shifted when you were busy to more of a referral-based business and just getting people that are referred in you from other people, because like minds think alike. So if you, like, I refer you a lot of business, I've referred you hundreds of clients, and I think that I'm always referring competent people. And because you're so competent, I refer you with confidence. And I think that what makes somebody competent?
Organized, communication. They have a strategy. They have a well-designed approach of how they communicate to you. They make you aware of how you're going to hear from them, when you're going to hear from them, and variably when you could hear from them because of other reasons that aren't consistent to a date.
Like the mortgage and real estate business, I coach a lot of top mortgage people, a lot of top realtors. I've been a top mortgage man for a long time. In the mortgage business, if you were to Google mortgage rep, they make about 50 grand. If you Google realtor, they make about 40 grand. If you Google financial planner, what's the average financial planner make?
Couple hundred.
Like 75.
I would say if you're an actual advisor, maybe closer to 100.
Okay. So the good financial planner makes 100 grand. You make 50 multiple of that. What separates the good from the best in your business?
I think one, you have to surrender to the situation. You have to realize this is my career. This is what I'm going to be the best at. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I serve my clients in the fashion that I would want to be served if I was on the other side of this conversation. You also have to create scalability. You have to create a team around you that is going to be able to communicate with you and for you to these clients on a specific pattern and approach that is going to be sufficient enough for them to be calm, not react in a fear or call it greed perspective. And they're going to know that we care about them. We're going to guide them. We're going to create guardrails for them. And we're going to stay in communication with them in the process. No. And in order to do that, you have to create a team approach that's going to allow you to deliver the message in multiple ways.
So let's look at transitioning from, like, I'm an all-in consume guy. You're an all-in consume guy. We could work 20 hours a day. You agree with that?
Absolutely.
The work never ends. Let's transition from work. I know you built a really successful business. Let's talk about some balance. You've been married to Nicole for how long?
Been married to Nicole for 15 years.
And how do you balance work and home life? How do you do that?
Well, what I've learned from you, Rick, because I'm not very good at it, is when I get home, I have to turn it off. I have to stop whatever. Listen, I could have 10 things happen to me, 8 good, 2 bad. The only thing I think about are the 2 bad. I have to be able to turn that off when I open that door and see my kids and see my wife, which is probably the toughest thing.
Well, I think you do a really good job. I mean, I think you have a really good marriage. I really like how your kids are shaping up. They seem respectful. They seem tough. They seem driven. I'll tell you, at the last week, we were at the summit, and I was leaving on Saturday with wife and Roy and Mary, and we were leaving together. And Eric came up with his kid, and Eric's very wealthy. Eric Colby, he makes big money. He's got big money in the bank. He's very similar to you, very driven, very focused. And I will tell you, one of the best things I can say about him and you is when I interacted with his kid, she was amazing. So we were literally standing there talking to him and his 19-year-old daughter. She goes to college softball player, going to college to be a doctor, very interactive, very respectful. They leave and walk off to the gym. And about 5 minutes later, I see her running clear back towards us. And she says, you know what? I'm so sorry I didn't introduce myself to everyone. I want to apologize. Here's who I am. And then she stayed there and engaged with us. And I think that, like, I get good compliments on Lindsay and Jackie. You get good compliments on the boys. I think that successful people normally don't have good kids. Why?
Because they don't put the time in.
That's right. They're not at their games, focusing at home, family dinners at night. I know you're a big make sauce guy on the weekend, right? That's a big thing for you that you guys have this big family dinner every Sunday, correct?
Yeah, I have my kids help me cook.
and you cook together and you eat together. And that's like a 3-hour process of you and the wife and the 3 boys together on Sunday making your famous Italian sauce, right?
That's right. That's right.
And that's a big thing in your family is that family day. I think that's a big thing for a lot of people. There should be one night a week that's super all about the family, cooking together, cleaning up together, eating together. Now, your boys are in everything. What all are they in these days?
My oldest is in big time swimmer. He's also 6'3", and he's 14. But he's big. He's playing basketball. My middle one's a soccer player and also plays basketball. And my youngest, who's 7, just made the travel soccer team. Just literally found out about it Sunday. So he's playing basketball and he's playing soccer so far. That's where we're at.
Now, what do you expect out of your kids? Just mail it in and goof around?
No. We leave it out there, Coach. We leave it out there.
Now, listen, you're a very tough parent. I've watched you interact with your kids. Good grades, good activity, and respectful. Do you agree those 3 things are mandatory?
That's it. That's imperative.
What do you do to recreate?
Oh, we got a boat. We go on a boat ride. We did a nice boat ride on Memorial Day yesterday with the kids and went to lunch. And so we all enjoy that. We have jet skis. The kids ride the jet skis behind the boat. So that's our kind of getaway. We go. We have a long vacation in July. We always take with the kids and go somewhere special and try to do a little small vacation. My kids are on travel everything, so I one-on-one. I try to go with them. Spend time with them, just dad and one of the boys, as opposed to everybody at once. And just be present, Rick. I mean, that's the key. Either you're in or you're out, and we're in. Otherwise,
my favorite verse in the Bible is give your all and all you do unto the Lord. And I think you give your all and all you do. I think you're super serious about, let's talk about your workout routine. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, this morning I got up, read the Bible app, read a verse, did some breathing, went and jumped in the cold plunge for 4 minutes. I suggest everybody does that. It's if you were asleep, you won't be anymore. 4 minutes.
Cold plunge every day?
I cold plunge 4 to 5 days a week. I used to do it every day, and they told me not to anymore. So I do 4 to 5 days. Then I go and stretch because I'm old, and then I do an hour workout that leaves me huffing and puffing and praying that I can breathe soon.
You go to a trainer? You work out by yourself? How do you do it?
Mainly with the trainer, Rick. Mainly with the trainer.
How many people with money not have trainers?
I like anybody who can, 1, make sure I don't hurt myself, and 2, get me beyond where I would have gone myself as a successful trainer. And the 2 trainers I have now meet both those objectives.
Now, I know you have me as a business coach. You have a personal trainer. You have Roy that works on your God and your marriage, correct? Do you have any outside experts besides those 3, or are those it?
Mainly the, personal trainers physically, you as a coach. And then Roy and we go to church on Sundays as well. Those are the pillars. I would say those are the pillars.
Now, do you have any personal recreations that you do that are just like for you? Like I drive hot rods, I play a little poker. Do you have anything personally that you do to recreate? Or is everything based on
probably my release more so? And then we go to a lot of competitions, sporting events. I'm a guest lecturer at the University of Michigan, where I come in and teach at the Ross School of Business the differences between working with athletes and entertainers and folks like you, Rick, or executives, how we approach case studies. And I got put on the board there of Empower, which is...
Now, let's talk about that. I know that was a big thing for you. You got put on the board of directors of University of Michigan Athletic Department, correct?
Correct. It's something called Empower and something called Champion Circle. And so I educate, I want to say, somewhere in the range of 50 to 60 interns coming through boot camp, where I teach them all the same things you do at your summits, how to budget, how to be...
I spoke at one of your intern boot camps. It was the who's who of Michigan football players, wasn't it? Bunch of big old guys. And how many do you have a year working for you?
So what I do is I teach to the basketball and football team currently, and then I ask them who wants to sign up for internships. Well, predominantly they all do, so I can't have them all. So what I do is I do 1 week for 8 to 10 guys, and I do it throughout the summer. So I only have in boot camp, and then I have a couple of kids that really want to get in our industry. So I just have them do the full internship. So we typically run in the boot camp somewhere around 40 kids, and then in the permanent somewhere around 12 between all our offices. And we hire through that internship program.
So you're always hiring through the University of Michigan Athletic Department. Why are athletes such good salespeople?
Military and athletes have been my best hires, Rick, because they get knocked down and they get back up. They don't walk in like they're vice presidents before they earn it. So they overcome adversity. They can take guidance. They can take a hard coach. And they typically don't act as though they're entitled to the degree that I think you don't necessarily get taught if you don't have one of those two, call it paths, if you will.
I will tell you, success is not for the faint of heart, is it?
No.
You got to be tough. You got to be driven. You got to be able to take it on the chin. I look at my life and I think of my life as my physical position. I look at that. I'm like this. I'm open to being punched in the head. I'm open for inclusion, for people to come into my life. And then when I'm aggressive, I'm super aggressive. I try to never be guarded. Why?
Why? I'd be interested to know.
It doesn't let people in. So I try to be like this, where I'm open for people to punch me or love me or get to know me or work with me, or I'm on the aggressive and I'm attacking. I try to never be guarded. I think the guarded people never really hit their full potential in life. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, they're putting up a block between themselves and what they could be actually turned on to. I agree with that.
So what's the future look for you? How old are you? I know you're almost 50, right?
I just turned 52 yesterday.
So you're 52 years old. What's the future look like for you?
I'm going to serve. I'm going to serve. Whether I'm serving my clients, whether I'm serving my team, whether I'm serving God, whether I'm serving my family, my wife, I'm going to serve. And then ultimately look at what the next chapter is. Maybe I'll be a coach. Maybe I'll continue to do this. Maybe I'll coach financial planners. Something you and I are working on right now.
So, no retirement in that story. What?
Come on, Rick, we go. We fight.
Do you know that not once in the Bible does it ever talk about retirement? And I hear all these people telling about their retirement. People are like, why do you work so hard? You're successful. You have a lot of money. Well, because you want to be active and you want to make a difference in the planet. You want to serve more people. So whether I'm serving coach, like right now, I'm doing all the interviews. We had about 98 people sign up for coaching. I'm interviewing them. I can't take all 98. Why?
Because you can't serve them correctly.
Right. So I'm probably going to grow 15. So time I interview all my current clients, I'll probably have growth of 15. So maybe I'll take on 30 new clients, and the rest, even though they want me to help them, I can't help them right now because there's only so many hours in the day to serve so many people. You agree?
That's it. At heart, you got to restrict so you can deliver that not so diluted experience.
Yeah. A couple life lessons you've learned along the way about business, some big like aha moments that you wish you would have known earlier.
Don't be complacent. Do not be complacent. When I had my first son, Rick, Louis, who's now 14, going to be 15 in September, I kind of said, I'm going to take it easy a little bit. I'm just going to coast a little bit. I'm just going to see how it plays out. Bam, you're going to get knocked down. You know what? Get ready, because if you're in overdrive, you might as well be on the ground because you're going to get knocked down anyway.
So don't ever be complacent. You always have new visions, new goals, new things you're trying to accomplish, correct?
Constantly thriving. Like when you and I sat out and had a cigar at the summit, and you and I just talked about where we can improve. You did some changes. You gave me some ideas. I implemented. It's pressing us to go further, never allowing us to be content. And the other thing I will tell everybody that I know listens to your podcast because they strive to be the best, and they're probably there in ways that they don't even realize, is someone taught me this. One of the Hall of Fame baseball players, I won't mention as the exact name, but someone you all know if you follow baseball, an old timer. I had just gotten ranked on the Forbes list. It was one of the first times, and he called me up to hire me. And he said, how you doing today? I said, I'm doing great. I just got told I'm ranked this in Forbes. And he goes, well, get ready. They're coming for you. I go, what do you mean? I thought a congratulations is what he was going to say to me, Rick. He says, get ready. They're coming for you. They're coming to knock you down. And I got to tell you, Rick, every time I hear anything saying negative about what we're doing or how we're doing, it's always the competition. Everybody wants to knock the best coach in the coaching world. They're all trying to come at you, right? So get ready. The minute you get complacent, those guys are going to knock you down. So be ready. Either get out or keep pushing. That's my advice.
I know that you're a big sports fan, and I'm a big sports fan. The NBA Eastern Conference Finals and Western Conference Finals are going, and it can go down. Every game can be a blow up by 30 or win by 2. You agree with that?
I was just talking to one of my players that plays for Michigan. He's one of the top players, and we're talking about New York and Indiana. I mean, how did New York come back and win down by 20 in the third quarter? How'd they do it, right? And their best players with 4 fouls.
Well, what did the Indiana guy do at the end of game 2?
You're going to have to tell me. I think I got pulled by my...
The Indiana guy, Halliburton, when they won the game by 1, he went like this and made the choke sign. Like, you don't want to give your enemy any more fuel than necessary. Do you agree?
That was not smart.
I studied Michael Jordan a lot, who was always one of my idols. Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Bill Belichick, Phil Jackson, Nick Saban. all guys that I've tried to like copy and emulate. And they always use like the fuel from what other people were saying about them to help motivate them to do better. Do you agree?
Oh, it's the best fuel. Someone who talks bad about you or makes you feel second to anyone or just disrespects you, you could do one of two things. You can go at them, right? Or you could let it fuel you to go to be the best.
Punch you in the face and learn from, be open to the lesson. Does that make sense?
Let's go.
So I think that watching you grow over the last 15 and 18 years has been amazing. I think you do an unbelievable job as a financial planner. More important, I feel you honor God with almost everything you do. You take great care of Nicole. You take great care of the kids. You've always taken great care of me. Now, we've fought through the years, haven't we?
We could tell a few stories. I can't
We
wait.
can tell a few stories. We've had some physical knockdowns on the basketball court, on the tennis court. So we've done life together. Do you agree?
100%.
I'm in coaching. You're with me in coaching. And I think that we're helping a lot of people, making a big difference. And I want to keep it going for a long time. I think that catering to the clients at mine and your level is the most important thing. I think 10 years ago for you was acquiring the right base of clients. I think you got to have the right base of referral partners and clients. You got to cater to them, but you always need to sprinkle in some new clients. Do you agree with that?
I do. And I'm going to piggyback something you already said about retirement. It's not that you are going to retire. You just want to be able to, no, Rick, you don't have to work anymore. You have more money than 3 generations are going to spend, but what are you doing today? You're serving and you're teaching. You want to be given, I want to make the decision that I want to work, not that I have to work. That's why we say, that's why we put money away. Having the ability to say whether you have to or do not have to work is what we're really thriving for, but we're still working. That's the way we're going to go.
So I look at big words like purpose, vision, mission, okay? And I look at me and you having the same mission of other people's money. I would say that your mission is serve other people's money. Do you agree with that? And I look at purpose. I look at creating disciples, creating millionaires, teaching life balance, and watching you as my student. You're a really good disciple for Jesus. You're a multimillionaire. You teach life. You have good life balance. What do you see as your vision? Like when you see vision, I see 400 clients making $1 million in 1 year. What do you see as the vision?
I want to see the people that we've been put in charge of, our clients, the people that work for us, to be set up financially so that they are in the driver's seat, not only for their lives, but for generations to come. That I want to make sure that we've given our clients, the people that we're in charge of, the ability to be successful for everything that they've envisioned. We will give them the path to being successful and how not to react when the market's down in April 20%, and why they should be buying when everyone else is running, why they should be doing their estate plan to make sure that the government doesn't take 40%. Make sure that we create the path and the guardrails to make sure that they are going to be successful. That's my vision. Serve our clients to that destination with the type of care that they deserve.
Well, I think you're doing a great job and you're as intense as anybody I know. And I love that about you. I think you're committed, you're intense, you're focused, you're dialed in. You've got a God coach, you got a marriage coach, you got a personal trainer, you got me as a business coach, you got a team of 30 to cater to your clients. How many new clients do you want to take on a year?
Very selective, very selective. Like I said,
10, 15, 20, how many new families a year?
I think very selectively, 15 clients, extremely selective, that have to meet requirements and they have to need the type of sophisticated guidance that we can provide.
You're going to lose some clients. Some of them are going to die. Some are going to feel they need to go somewhere else. I take it very personal every time I lose a client. How about you?
Like I said, there's two bad things out of 10 can happen. The only thing I think about is that 2.
Just so you know, losing a client is like cutting off a joint on my finger. It's pretty painful for me to lose a client because it makes me feel like I failed or I let them down. Do you agree with that? Like I had some drama last week with a client and I feel like I failed her and I let her down. And the real problem was a lack of communication. You find that's normally the problem with clients?
It's always the problem.
They're not sharing their frustrations for you to solve them. You agree with that?
Communication's always
the biggest thing is to get people to be able to share when they're frustrated or how they're doing. And that's where check-in calls on a regular basis can make that happen. Like we make Tuesday status calls with all of our clients in process. We call all our past clients on Thursday. I've got about 8,000 past coaching clients. I don't really need any new clients. I need to go back and get my old clients back. You agree?
100%.
Now, As I look forward going forward, I see that I want to add about 30 clients a year to my level 3 coaching. I see you want to add about 15 clients a year. The perfect client has a baseline of what, 5 million, 2 million? Where you want to
get above 10 million in a short period of time.
So you want clients that are committed to getting to 10 million. That's the perfect client for you. For me,
Correct.
I'm looking for clients that want to make $1 million and they want to get 5 million in the bank. So if a mortgage rep or a realtor says, you know what, I want to get to $1 million, I'll do the work for 5 years. I want to get to 5 million. You know, we just had 12 10-year graduates that all had more than 7 million in the bank in cash assets. Why is that?
Rick, I would say two things. One, I've been a part of the course since 2002. I've been to every summit except for 2. You do 2 every year. I had my child born and I had an unfortunate death in the family. Those are the only 2 I ever missed. I watched many students be in the program the entire time, and I've watched several students drop out. And I'm going to tell you something. The consistent results are this. The people that stay in get wealthy and continue to get wealthy. The people that leave, all of a sudden, we're not making the same income. They're cutting into their savings. All of a sudden, they're going the opposite direction, and they cannot figure out why. Because remember, some of them have hired us, so I get to watch. So I believe that you have to constantly be pushed. You have to constantly set the goals out there, and you have to have a mentor that is going to keep you accountable, and you have to surrender to the process.
I think mentors, coaching, I think those are the most mandatory thing in life for growth. I think you need life mentors, business coaches, personal trainers. I look at movie stars and they all look really great. Why?
Because they have a beauty person that constantly touches them up and makes them look.
Well, they have a nutritionist that prepares all their food. They work out with trainers 5 days a week. I mean, I just think that for me, I'm a big fan. I've always had a coach. I've had 8 great coaches. I've had another 3 mentors that were just like a non-financial relationship is more like a mentor, where a coach normally has a fee base to it that you got to pay for coaching. So I think that mentoring and coaching, most important thing in life. Can it be the wrong coach or the wrong commitment to the coach?
Could be either. You could have the wrong coach, but you could also not have surrendered to the process. If you have a trainer you're not going to listen to, or a doctor you're not going to take their advice, and get out.
So I look at like my personal trainer. I wouldn't want a 30-year-old with giant muscles. Why?
Because that's not what you're trying to achieve.
I'm looking for a lean personal trainer that keeps me fit. So when I'm in the mortgage business, I'm looking for students that they want to be relational. If they're lenders, they want to work with realtors. If they're realtors, they want to work with local business people. I want everybody to attack their past clients. But it seems like some people struggle doing the same thing over and over and over for 10, 20, 30 years. Why is that?
I think someone keeping them accountable. I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to continually do a similar process in any business we're in. So to think that you're looking for something that's going to create some major upheaval of how your day-to-day grind is, unfortunately, it doesn't exist. If you're playing professional sports, or you're coaching, or you're a mortgage individual, or you're a wealth manager, whether you're working with $100 million relationship or 100,000, your job is still the same. You're still going to have that grind.
I know you were a college athlete. I know you're a serious businessman. How important are the basics?
They're imperative.
John Wooden, the important thing is the basics. Do you agree with that?
Most important. John Wooden, the winningest basketball coach in the history of college basketball, the first day of practice taught the best players in the country how to put their socks and shoes on, and how to dribble a basketball, how to make a layup. Why would he do that to the players that can dunk and can shoot 3-pointers out more than? Because he was showing them how important the basics are. The little tiny budgeting and things that are going to make it. We lose sight of when we.
I got to get out of here. I know you got clients. I got clients. I want to tell you, I'm very proud of you. I'm very respectful of you, how you live your life, how you run your business. I appreciate you being my client. I appreciate you being on the show. Have a great week.
My honor.
Everybody else, that's Street Smart Millionaire. See you later.